Hi, thank you for coming to the Prospective Development Tier 1 application webinar for the CERB program. My name is Janae Eddy. I'm the program coordinator. Today we're going to give a brief overview of the Prospective Development program and how to apply for funding. CERB is designed to finance public infrastructure construction for private business development, assist local governments with economic development planning. Eligible jurisdictions: cities and towns, counties, federally recognized tribes, municipal and quasi-municipal corporations, port districts, special purpose districts, etc. Here are some of the eligible public facility projects that CERB can fund, and then the actual projects that can be done within those criteria. What CERB cannot finance is anything that results in retail development, facilitate gambling, displace jobs from one part of the state to another, or any projects outside of the applicant's jurisdiction. CERB does not contract with private business, only the local government applying for funds. Specifically, the Prospective Development Program is a build it and they will come. This is when an applicant has an area that they'd like to develop for future businesses, but they do not have a committed private partner attached at the time. Total max for the program is $2 million, and that's a loan grant mix with a $300,000 grant or 50% of a CERB request, whichever is less. This program is for rural communities only. There is a 50% cash match of the total project cost, and this project must demonstrate economic feasibility with a supporting study. The study must show likelihood of significant jobs and or significant private investment. How CERB works. The board meets to review applications every 2 months. Applications are due 8 to 6 weeks prior to a meeting. They are on our CERB website. Staff works with clients to vet the application and project. The applicant comes and presents to the board. The applicant will know at the meeting if the project is approved, and CERB staff tracks projects for up to 5 years after the project is complete. So actually how to apply for funds. So if you go to our website, on our front page, on the right hand side, it says CERB funding programs. If you click on, you will see under funding applications, currently the committed private partner and planning application are online. Prospective development will be online shortly after this webinar, and you'll be able to click on there. On there, it will take you to our online application portal. If you've not been there before, you can register, and you get one username and login for all of our applications. If you have been in here before, then again you can use that login username and password that you've set up before to get into this or planning or committed private partner program. If you can see, there's useful links down on the right hand corner for Executive Order 0505 and the DAP website. This works for our cultural resource and tribal consultations that need to be done for all of our capital projects. And then median wage FAQ, how the program calculates our median wage for our projects compared to how ESD does it. And then the median wage by county. So again, this is where you would either create your username or log in. You can see on the right hand side where it says CERB account information will be deleted at the end of the biennium. You can at any time come in and start to fill out an application, and then you can save it for a later date. Any application that's in here on June 30, 2015 will be deleted. So make sure that you come in and get everything submitted that you want to have submitted, because we will clear out the cache for that. Once you've logged in, as you can see, there's 3 portals that you can go through: the committed private partner, prospective development, or planning. And today we're going to do prospective development. It has a list of who's eligible, what our limits are, what the grant limits are, the interest rate, the loan terms, and then the match requirement as well under each program. So if you come in here, it's your first time, you won't have any applications saved in here, so you'd click on create new application. On the first page, it's really simple. It's just applicant information, address, what your political boundaries are, and then contact information. Who's the main contact for this project? Who staff will be working with. And then the next is your project title, what type of project it is, and you can check as many of those that apply to your project. And then under funded activities, you can just list what what activities the project will be doing, what will be funded by CERB, and what will be funded by other sources. And again, as I said, at any time you can save your application and come back and start from where you left off. So if you click on save, it'll save what you've done so far and you can come back. Otherwise, you can go back to previous page if you need to change something or think that you need to add something, or go to next page. On this page, it's CERB funding, what is being requested, and what your match is. Like I said, CERB loan and grant is up to $2 million with a maximum of $300,000 grant, or 50%, whichever is less. Your grant percent will be calculated, so you can make sure that you don't go over the 300,000, but if it's a lower amount, that you don't go over the 50%. And then in the match side, again, where your match is coming from, what the status is, if it's awarded, pending, applied for, how much it is, what your total project cost is, and then down at the bottom here, it will calculate what your percentage is, so you make sure for prospective development that you hit the 50% mark. So CERB is considered gap funding. The motto is, but for CERB, this project could not happen. That means that an applicant has to look at other sources of funding prior to coming to CERB, the federal, state, and local level. So you fill it in up here. You click across the tabs to fill in for the different sources, what source you applied to or looked at, if you applied to it, what the outcome was. And some of the reasons that some of these sources don't work is the applicant's not eligible, the project's not eligible, or maybe a funding cycle doesn't line up with your project deadlines. But our statute does require that we ask our applicants what other sources that they looked at. So this needs to be filled out for threshold requirements. So feasibility study, as I said in the beginning, a prospective development project needs to be supported by a feasibility study. So this is, did you do one? What's the title? When was it done? Who was it prepared by? Some of the information that was found out. You know, what's the estimated median hourly wage for the created jobs? Will it create significant private investment or private jobs? What's the total jobs? What's the total private investment that you think can be generated from this project? The private investment needs to be more than what the capital investment is for the project. So if you're asking for $2 million private, we considered significant private investment more than that $2 million. Significant private job creation is based on your county's cost per job. So if in a rural county it's about $30,000 per job, and in an urban county it's about $36,000 per job. So if it's less than either of those numbers, that's considered significant. And then public facility enhancement. How is this public facility be enhanced or encourage other development in the immediate area with this project? Public facility investment description. How is this project supporting infill or redevelopment of existing urban or industrial areas and will be served by this adequate public facility? So again, prospective development tier 1 application is just threshold requirements. So it should take you about 10 or 15 minutes to fill out the application. Once you get to this page, you do see a list here of other requirements that will be asked for if tier 1 is passed. A copy of that feasibility study, letters of support from your ADO, EDCs, any legislators that you'd like to send to us, or any businesses that are in the area, engineering estimates, and if this is a revenue loan request, there'll be additional information for that. If you were not ready to submit your application at this time, you would just say no and then return to start. If you are ready, you would change this to yes, put an email address in here, submit final application. Staff will get an email with this application. You will get an email of the application for your records. Staff will review it, and within 3 days, you'll be contacted by staff to be told if you've passed threshold or not. If you said no being ready to submit the application, here is where your application would be held, and this is what it would look like. So you could click on here at any time and finish your application to submit it. So what happens next? As I said, staff will conduct a threshold review of the application. The applicant has passed tier 1, they'll be invited to complete and submit tier 2 once all the other requirements are submitted, like the feasibility study, etc. Staff will work with the applicant to finalize the staff analysis. Once the tier 2 application is submitted, that will be presented to the board. The applicant will present the project to the board at the following meeting. The applicant will know the outcomes of the funding decision that day. The applicant will have 6 months to complete pre-contract conditions. This is normally permitting, 0505, that your match is secured, etc. Once pre-contract conditions are completed, a finalized contract will go to the applicant for signature as well as the board chair. The jurisdiction will then have 4 years to complete the project. And again, like I said before, CERB follows up on each project for 5 years after completion to report in our biennial legislative report. Here are our next meeting dates throughout the biennium. We have it scheduled out through May. Our meetings are always the third Thursday of the odd month of the year. And like I said, our applications, our tier 1 applications are due about 8 weeks prior to the meeting, and our tier 2 and planning applications are due about 6 weeks prior to the meeting. If you go back to our website, on that CERB funding program page, under training and reference materials, there'll be a copy of this webinar there, as well as the Prospective Development Tier 1 application walkthrough. It's just a PDF of the webinar, no voice overview, that you can just walk through so you can see what the questions are. And then there's also a sample of the Tier 2 application, so you can see again what those questions are, so you're prepared with the information that you need prior to having to submit it. Again, thank you for attending today's webinar. My name again is Janae Eddy, the Program Coordinator, and Brian Locke, Program Manager. Feel free to contact either one of us at any time if you have questions. Again, or you can go to our website. There's tons of information from our policies, a review of all of our programs, and copies of each Tier 1 application and Tier 2 application, as well as the Planning Online application. I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Thank you.